All right, guys, welcome to episode 12 of the Different Animals podcast. It is currently storming outside of my residence. If you hear any thunder, it's because your boy's braving the elements. Uh,
Yeah, it rained a
so,
little bit here ago, but it's been sort of just cloudy since, so it might hit us in a little bit.
yeah, dog, my phone kept going off with flash flood warnings at work. So, we're getting it.
Oh shit.
But this episode, we're going to talk about Hannibal Buress' special because I know Ever went and watched it. We're going to talk about Palm Springs because I went and watched it. We're going to talk about music and some scary stories revolving music and the 10th anniversary of Inception. And there's a small chance we're going to talk about the Washington football team's new name. But first, all right, guys. So we're gonna jump right into this Miami Nights Hannibal Buress special. So
Hmm.
so what'd you think?
I liked it. I saw it came out on July 3rd, and he explained why he put it on YouTube and how much how it's easier to just to upload it straight up. Which I heard is also something that Dave Chappelle ran into when he was uploading his short stand up. Um,
Oh,
which is that it's just harder to for YouTube you just put the shit, upload it, it goes in 1080p, you're fine. But with Netflix there's a lot more that goes into it, like just in
mm-hmm.
terms of the user interface. I think it's like a lot more technical. It's not just as easy as upload. But
Right.
anyway, but I liked it. I thought it was really funny. He incorporates he has like a big screen behind him, which I don't think I've seen a lot of stand-up comedians do before.
Right.
Most of
It's
the
usually
time,
in like a theater with
yeah,
like
it's usually like
just draping curtains behind them.
a right,
Or
right.
every once in a while you get like an arena where they're doing it in the round where like it's literally the crowd all the way around them.
Oh yeah, yeah. Those are like the old like the Kevin Hart's, or the I remember Dane
Yeah.
Cook used to
You
have
have to
one
that well
when he
that's
was
the
big.
thing. So you have to be the reason why those are the people you remember doing it is because you have to be a humongous fucking deal
Right.
because
Yes.
you have
Oh
to
my
sell
gosh.
all those seats,
Yeah, dude. To
which
sell
is
it,
sorry, go ahead.
which is insane. Like I remember, like even I know Kevin Hart sold out the not just an arena but a football stadium. I think he sold out like the Phillies, or not the Eagles stadium, if I'm not
Right, right.
mistaken.
Yeah.
But
Real quick, just because we brought it up and you said his name, what kills me so much is people acting like Dane Cook was never funny. My favorite part of that is
yeah.
that everyone thought he was funny when he came out. You know what I mean? Like whether it aged well or not is up for debate, but like he was definitely funny at the time. You don't I think there's only been like 6 people that have sold out Madison Square Garden for like comedy wise, and
Mm-hmm.
he's one of them.
Oh
So
yeah.
like, so like, you can't act like he wasn't funny. You know what I mean? Obviously, you don't
Yeah.
sell out Madison Square Garden on a fluke.
Right, right. No, I feel the same way about like shit about like Avatar, where people are like, "Oh, can you name a character?" And I'm like, "Oh my god!" Like you made that joke has been made since 2012, and it's the same thing. It's like, "Oh, you think Dane Cook was probably think Dane Cook was funny?" It's like, well, yeah. I mean, he had couple of good jokes here and there. I remember watching his hour-long stand-up. I thought it was really funny.
Yeah,
Um, Maybe it didn't age well, or maybe it's
or we
not
grew out of
everything
it.
was funny. Yeah, or
Either
like
way, you
yeah,
know what I
like
mean.
yeah, exactly. Like I remember some parts even when I was a kid when I watched it, I was like, that's kind of fucking lame. Um,
But either way,
yeah, but
that
either
was
way,
just you said his name, so it just popped in my head. It's like people all the time, like they're like, he was just a hack," and I was like, "I don't. That seems like a push." You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly, yeah. But I liked it. Hannibal Buress is. I used to watch stand-up specials so much more when I was in middle school and
Mm-hmm.
high school. Like I would watch them all the time. Because back then there was a channel called HBO Comedy, and every night at 10 they had a different stand-up special, and it was kind of funny because some of them were like recent ones, like Chris Rock, who else? Louis Black.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of who they had. Like I think Louis C.K. had a couple ones, but then they also had like some old ones from the 70s, with George Carlin. and some other people. But I like them, and I like this one. I definitely recommend it if you're into it.
Yeah, he's got a really dry and straightforward delivery, which works so perfect. Like he really nails it sometimes.
Hmm.
I forgot. I rewatched it this morning on the way to work. Well, I guess I didn't watch it. I listened to it on the way to work, um, and like I forgot about the Kanye joke where he's like, this guy from Tennessee pulled up and he was like, "You heard that new Kanye song? It's N-word man, N-word man. You're nothing but an N-word man."
Oh
And he
yeah, that whole
sits there
bit.
for so long. He goes like, he like looks around, like stares down, like looks around again. And he's like, "That's not a Kanye song at all."
Yeah.
And then he said that the driver tries to make small talk, and he's like, "Nah, you got to sit in this energy that you created." And like you said with the screen, then he's like, when you really leaned into those R's, man, I don't think Kanye would have used it like that. He's like, you Michael Jackson leaned into those R's, and when he does it, the Michael Jackson Smooth Criminal video plays in the background. They're
Oh
leaning,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
and then he's like, I don't know how much that cost. It's just little shit like the dry delivery kills me so much. But yeah, dude, I also like I still watch a lot of comedy specials. Like most of the podcasts I listen to, other than ours, because ours is the best one, is just comedy podcasts. Because like, and that was kind of my thought process behind when I was making this this podcast and like what we were going to talk about. And I was like, honestly, like my favorite thing to listen to and podcasts, whether it's Jesus and Mero or Your Mom's House, is just like like I just love to hear people just like having a good time. Like there's nothing better than just being in a group of people laughing about shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we had our fantasy football dinner and we were at that like barbecue place in Raleigh, and I like legitimately was laughing so hard I was crying red and actually dizzy. Like I for a second, like I was like, oh dude, I'm gonna fall out of this chair. Like
Yeah,
it's just
I know
the
what you mean.
best.
Yeah, yeah. I feel the same way about mine, where it's like even if they have like a little bit of a twist or there about
Like it was
movies or
actually about
something,
something, right?
they still are people that I would want to hang out with. Like it's not just dry. Like today we're talking about
Yeah,
this or that.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, definitely recommend it. It's on YouTube for free, so you don't even need. It's a Netflix special, but you don't need Netflix.
Is it even on Netflix? I don't
I
think
don't think
it
it
is.
is.
No, I
Yeah.
think it's just YouTube.
Yep. Yep.
So get
So.
that shit for free.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're you don't want to watch it on your phone, then fucking stream that shit to your TV. Whether it's by your phone or a console that has YouTube. Fuck it.
Yep. Yep.
So going from one bit of comedy to another, I finally got around to watching Palm Springs,
Sweet.
and that is such a great fucking movie.
Right? Yeah, yeah. That's what I was telling people. I'm like, it's and what's interesting is that people think it's a show. Like it's weird how
It
mixed
does
up
kind of
things.
have a name, like a show. Like Palm Springs could totally be the name of like a show because like Riverdale. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's like
It
just
just
sounds
sounds like a you're right, like a comedy, like Parks and Rec. Like it just
yeah,
sounds like one. I think half the people that I've told that didn't already know about it, literally they all go, "Oh, I thought it was a show." Like, and I guess I don't know. I just
it could be the title and also Hulu. Like
yeah,
'cause
and the
when I think
Hulu,
Hulu, I think
right,
shows. I don't think movies.
right, and I guess they think Andy Samberg, he's like a TV comedy guy, not a movie guy.
Right. That's another thing that I wonder if was working against it, just because like Andy Samberg has a very obvious I'm gonna say typecasting. That's not the word I'm wanting. Like, but like you think of Andy Samberg in a movie, and you generally have an idea of what that movie is, and
Hmm.
that movie is more like Hot Rod than it
Or
is
yeah,
like Palm Springs.
what is that movie? That's My Boy, the one with Adam Sandler, the one where he's like his son after 12 years.
Okay, I haven't seen that one, but
I haven't either, but
that
it's
one
like
didn't
that's
look great.
yeah, it's like an Adam Sandler shitty comedy.
What I will say though is that Hot Rod gets better every time you watch it.
Yeah.
Hot Rod, have you watched it?
Yeah, yeah. I haven't seen it in years, but I actually just watched a clip of it this week. I don't know what made me think of it, but I looked it up on YouTube. Which is what I do from time to time. I just look up scenes that I like in movies. I'm like, that was a good scene. Let me pull
What
it up.
scene did you look up?
It was the one. It's just like a short one where Bill Hader goes, pools are perfect for holding water, man. That's like the whole line. That just cracked me up. And then
Is that when he's in the car?
no, it's he's filling
Okay.
up a pool with Danny McBride.
Oh yeah, because they're see this is where it gets like so. I was talking with my dad about like some comedy stuff, and he was like, part of it like the I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna sound like I'm an asshole, and maybe everyone gets it, and they just don't like find it funny. But like, I feel like some people don't think about like the extra layer that goes into like what makes something funny. Like something that's stupid and is still funny is generally still funny because A, it's stupid, but B, like there's another level outside of it that's like even more dumb. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like so like Hot Rod is trying to train his breath control for a stunt jump. First of all, that's stupid. I can't think of a way that like breath control and a stunt jump is gonna help you. But secondly, the way he's gonna gonna train breath control is they're gonna hold him underwater in a pool. And he has a tiny, tiny string with a tiny bell
Hmm.
attached to it. They're supposed to ring if he can't breathe. And the moment he goes to ring it, the string just comes loose. And they just like drown him in the pool. Like it's so stupid, but like it's just there's just enough other stuff going on that it's hilarious to me.
Yeah, I still think about the scene where Isla Fisher leaves Will Arnett in the car, and he's like, he doesn't go after, he just yells out, "Babe!" He's like,
He's like,
"Babe,
babe, yeah.
babe, babe," and he just yells that out for like a minute. Babe, 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 babe.
Yeah, I think my favorite,
Oh my
the
god.
the two that kill me the most is when she walks by his house and he's trying to like look cool and he has an engine on a stand in his garage, like he's working on it.
Mm.
But then she walks by and he just starts beating it with a hammer, like just smacks it like three
Eh,
times, like in just random directions.
yeah.
And then he goes to take his trash out and he's like, "You look pretty," and she's like, "What?" He's like, "I said you look shitty," and like just runs away. Oh God,
It's so
dude.
good, and it's so dumb, and I guess like it's the Lonely Island guys. Like I think what Jorma Tacone is in what part of his crew. I think he's his
Right.
brother.
Yeah.
And so him and another Akiva Schaefer, I think,
Yep.
are in Lonely Island, and then they produced this one, but it's
Yeah.
not the same sort of approach to it as like this or not this or a Hot Rod or a Pop Star or
Right. So the
the
best way I can
videos.
think of to say it that literally just popped into my head, so you could dismantle this immediately, is that like Hot Rod seemed like they had a bunch of like random skits that they thought were funny and then loosely cobbled together a storyline to just do
Mm,
those.
yeah,
Like he has to fight his stepdad because
he
like
wants to grow a mustache or something.
no, he's like, well, you never sneak up on a man in a chemical that's been in a chemical fire, which kills me every time.
Mm,
But yeah, like his dad gets cancer, and that's why he has to do the big stunt. So like he has to like prove to his dad that like it's nonsense. So it's like this, it's a bunch of reaching to get like these funny jokes or scenes off.
yeah.
Whereas this seems like they came up with the premise, came up with the message they wanted to do, and then put
It's
the
like an actual.
jokes where they
It's a
fit.
right, right. It's a fully realized story. Oh, and so I guess if people haven't seen it, I don't think we're gonna spoil, like, and most of it, like, it's essentially a time loop movie. So it's like Groundhog's Day, where the day keeps repeating, and it stars, Andy Samberg, which we've mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
and Kristen Milotti, who I think I mentioned in last week or the week before, and she was the mother, or she was the mother in How I Met Your Mother, and both of them are at a wedding in Palm Springs, and the day keeps repeating, and so they have to find out a way to get out of it. And that's pretty much the movie. So I don't think we'll spoil like any of the actual like good like actual days or the ending or anything, but we'll give our general thoughts about it. So yeah, you said you liked it a lot. What did you like about it? Like what
Well, see, now I'm trying to think of how I can say some of the stuff that I like without it, or like about it that like don't spoil it at all. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And that's kind of hard because I like that it's a unique take on the thing. Like, there's a time loop movie is a time loop movie, and I think first of all, I never really noticed how much I cared about like the runtime of a movie
Mm-hmm.
because I think most of the time when I like want to see a movie, like for example, like Avengers Endgame, you could have told me it's 5 hours, I'd have been like, I want to watch it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm already invested, so I want to watch it. If you told me, like some fucking Patrick Ewing documentary, I'd be like, cool, 2.5 hours, I'm all in. But like 90 minutes felt great.
Yes.
90 minutes felt so good. And I
Did,
think,
yeah.
oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah. I agree. I'm just agreeing.
I think part of the reason that makes it great in this, so 90 minutes is great for runtime. Like, I feel like you're never like too committed. Like, you're never like looking like, fuck, dude, I got shit to do. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's never really on your mind in 90 minutes. Um, and you're not like, it's not trying to hold your focus. You can just kind of watch it. Whereas like something that's 3 hours like really needs to keep you locked in. Um, but like I think what you can lose is just some like basic like storytelling elements of like building your characters, stuff like that. Setting your environment correctly.
Right.
And what I think the time loop movie and this, like the time loop factor of this helped with, is that like I think they kind of use that as a way to be like, it's a time loop movie. People will buy in. You know what I mean? Like we don't need to explain like motives or like reasoning or whatever for this to happen.
Yeah.
Like we don't need to explain that because like everyone knows time loop movies are a thing, so we
Mm.
can skip that part. Like, you know what I mean? Like we
Yeah.
don't even have to fucking worry about that.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
It's like
we
yeah,
can
it's like
put people wherever they are in their own personal journey. We can put them there whenever we feel like it.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I think they gain, like I think the format, the genre. Time loop movies isn't like, that's not really a genre, but I'm gonna say genre. Like that trope, I guess, I think helped this movie because it's not really about a time loop at all.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like that's just a thing that's happening.
Right.
So I think they use that to just kind of like speed some of this up and not have to give you a whole bunch of exposition. And I think it works perfect.
No, yeah, I agree. I completely, because like it like all the heavy lifting is already done by other movies. Like when you go, it's a time loop movie. Like
Right.
people might not know immediately what it is, but you'll go like Groundhog's Day, and they'll be like, oh, just the day repeats and repeats, because it's not necessarily time travel, right? Like it.
Right.
I sort of clump them together. It's like a time travel adjacent, but it's not quite the same thing.
Yeah, I saw
And so
someone else say, God, I'm trying to think of. Oh, I was listening to another podcast, and someone was like, "It's a time travel movie," and I was like, I don't know that's how I would classify that.
Right, because it's not quite that, but it's it's also
when I think time travel music, I think fucking Back to the Future,
Back to the Future
or Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yeah, like Terminator, like
Right.
people go in like a line, or yeah. But yeah, no, yeah, I really enjoyed it. Like I really liked it. I thought they both were great, and I liked what it did with it, in that I hadn't seen a movie where multiple characters were in the loop together. I have seen a show where that's done, but not a movie, and I really appreciated that because, somebody else in another podcast I was listening to is that, they that time loop movies are meant to emphasize like how lonely the person is. Like it's just them. Like nobody else is gonna get it. And then even if they do explain it, next day they go back to they wipe the slate clean.
Right.
And so this one goes beyond the loneliness, but it does touch on that, because
Mhm.
Eddie Samberg, sort of starts off lonely, and then it sort of touches on other things or other ways that would impact someone, like a constant looping, to the point where they would forget their life before, or maybe they have to deal with guilt over and over and over again.
Actually, can I? So what I think I might do, if you're cool with it, is just go back when I edit this and just put like literally just record me saying like go to this time.
Mm-hmm.
Can we just talk about it? Because like I don't want to. I'm worried that like in 3 weeks or 2 weeks when we finally get back to it, like it just won't be as fresh in my mind or as relevant. So like, would you be cool if we just talk about spoilers right here, and I just this is like I'll tell people where to jump to if they want to avoid the spoilers.
Yeah, we can do a quick one. Yeah, spoiler
Okay.
section. Yeah.
All right, so this is going to be a spoiler going forward. And assuming I did everything correctly, you're going to want to skip ahead to 26 minutes and 19 seconds.
Okay.
Which is that, like, one of the things that, like, there's two things that I think are great about this, is that, like you said, he pulls someone else into the time loop,
Mm-hmm.
and multiple people, and so like the first one's an accident. You know what I mean? Like the
Right.
J.K. Simmons,
Yeah.
they're just drunk off their asses, and J.K. Simmons offhandedly is like, "Man, I wish this could last forever," and he's like, "Well," um, and he pulls them in, and I love that, like kind of like I said, like we don't need. They're like, "Fuck it, dude." People will just buy in, as they don't explain the cave. There's no like grand scheme, God reckoning behind the cave. It's
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
no, it's just a fucking cave, and if you go in it, you time loop. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, fuck it. Um, Go ahead.
No. Yeah. And then I agree. And the way that they solve it, it's kind of like, oh, it's just a bomb in a cave, and you. But at that point, at the end, they're just kind of playing with house money, just because I enjoyed the movie so much. I'm like, yeah, all right, like whatever, like that clicks for me. Like I'm not
Right, and
gonna.
again, it's another thing where like that's not really the point. Like the point is she figured out a way out. Like however they gave it to us, it wouldn't have
Mm,
mattered because it's just like she found a way out, and now Andy Samberg has to reconcile that like he has to deal with this,
mm-hmm.
and so like that it doesn't the formula that she had, which like to me it's super basic, but like it's foolproof enough. You know what I mean? Like nothing with time travel is ever foolproof, but like it's foolproof enough that like it doesn't bother me. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like something ridiculous. It was just like, nah, there's an amount of time, before, like after you go in the cave and before you wake up the next movie, and like I just kept blowing up this goat until I figured out when it was. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
so like
Yeah.
that was all.
And
Like it works for me. You know what I mean?
yeah. And I'm just
Um,
like, okay, yeah, like that. I'm fine.
that seems
Okay.
rational. That seems like something I would eventually come to on my own. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and
Yeah.
so there's that, which is like I said, it's just another level of Limb just being like, it's a time loop movie, people will buy in. I don't need to go through all this.
Yeah.
But then the other thing I like about it is that like I don't remember Groundhog's Day super well, and that's the main time loop movie I've seen. Like I know you listed some others like Edge of Tomorrow and
Source
Source
Code with
Code
Jake Gyllenhaal, which is kind of it's
with
like
the
time
shameless Bing
loopy.
plug.
Yeah. What else? It's tomorrow. Happy Death Day 1 and 2, which are also great. But we can go into them in a little bit. Or I can sort of give my thoughts on those. But yeah, you said you've only seen Groundhog's Day, or like
Yeah, I've only really seen Groundhog's Day, and I feel like if I remember correctly, it's some like personal like fulfillment that like he has to reach, and then he's out of it.
yeah, it's like a mystical, like spiritual, like you have to self-actualize,
Right.
which I appreciated in this movie. Like you could kind like they basically said like when she tells her sister what she'd done, and she kind of goes, well, that didn't work. It's sort of she basically was like, I've seen Groundhog's Day, like I just have to
Right.
self-actualize and find myself, like basically everything short of saying that, but the audience sort of knows it just because of
Yeah.
like you said, like we know what a time loop movie is, we know what cracked Bill Murray out of Groundhog's Day.
hmm And I,
Um,
and
yeah.
and I'm gonna speak on a macro level here, which is that like I'm terrible at analyzing shit about movies, but this still hit me, and I text you about this after I watched it, which is that like one thing that's cool is that so like theoretically Groundhog's Day would have gone on for eternity until he self-actualized. So like
Yep.
by
Yep.
him getting caught in this loop, it was predetermined that he was going to be the best version of himself. You know what I mean? Like the
Mhm.
moment the time loop happened, it's over. Like he can't be shitty. He just has to be the best version of himself, or else it just never moves forward.
Mhm. Mhm.
This, on the other hand, theoretically, Andy Samberg could still be in whatever state of like arrested development that he's in, and like them find a way out and him not grow. Like them getting out of it has nothing to do with their development.
Right.
Their
Right.
development happens on its own, not as a plot device that
Yeah.
has to move forward. Like she could have just blown up the goat, figured the way out, and him either stayed in or rolled out, and it just like him been the same dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The peak isn't when they blow up. The peak is when they're outside the cave and he confesses
Come,
everything to her.
right, exactly. It has nothing to do with them getting out, really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like that was like a level of like that's super refreshing that it wasn't just predetermined. Like she
Mhm.
found a way out, and the answer is not like is he gonna, or like the answer is like he's definitely gonna go because blah blah blah, like it was with Groundhog Day. You know what I
Right.
mean? Which is still a
Mhm.
great movie. I'm not shitting on Groundhog's Day, but like I just felt like that was, that was super refreshing along with all the other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and that's how all of the other ones are, where they get out of it through different ways, but they all change, right? They're all like jerks at the beginning, or they're all self-centered. And I think all of the movies, I think other than Source Code, all the movies that we mentioned, Edge of Tomorrow, Happy Death Day, Russian Doll on Netflix, they all start off. The person is like the ultimate jerk version of who they are, and then they gain a new perspective from dying all the time, or from being having to re-wake up every time, because it's not always like, it's interesting how some of them are death, like Edge of Tomorrow, he dies every time because he's in that alien invasion.
I've never
Happy
actually
Death.
seen Edge of Tomorrow, but I've heard it's great. I need to
Oh
see
yeah,
it.
it's really good. And then Happy Death Day, the girl gets murdered every time, and but same thing with Russian Doll. But Groundhog's Day, it's just when the day starts. If they fall asleep, they wake up, it restarts. Same thing with this. It's like if they fall asleep, they could drive
Or if
back
they
12
die.
hours, or if they die, either one. Yeah. Um, but yeah, and you saying that it's great, it got me thinking about how foolproof of a genre it is. Like in terms of
All
like
right, hold on, real quick.
like
This is
yeah,
going to be the end of the spoiler conversation, right?
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah.
this is moving forward.
Welcome back, everybody. I was just gonna say that time loop movies seem to be foolproof in like how good they are. It seems like I think it's very hard, or probably impossible, to make a bad one, just because of how much thought you have to put into the loops and like the days and like shit that rehappens again and again. And uh and all you have to really nail is just the self-actualization. Like I think like there's no, the conflict is the loop, but the loop is easy to do. You just have to be clever and think about how they happen differently every time.
And also, like, generically moving forward, or like, not that this isn't exactly the case with Palm Springs, but all of those, it guarantees character development. The
Right.
whole point is character development, so you get a decent, you know what I mean? Like you've said, like bad movies, it's just, or like you said with The Last of Us, where like part of its failing is that like you spent X amount of time with Ellie, and then you go on this next like small journey, and it's the same Ellie the whole time,
Yeah.
and you don't get a whole lot of character development to the very end.
Right.
Like
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
these
Yeah.
kind of movies you have to, otherwise it's literally just the same thing. So like
Yeah.
even Palm Springs, where I said like it's not forced the same way, like it's not technically forced the same way that it is in the other ones. Like I said, they
Mm-hmm.
all could have been the same person and still got out,
Mm-hmm.
but like it would be a boring movie. So if you're trying to make anything that's even remotely decent, you would realize that like I can't just have this person do the exact same thing every day and that just be the end of the movie, because why would that
Exactly.
be fun? So like
Exactly.
I think it forces it kind of forces the hand of the director to be like, look, you're gonna have some character progression. You're gonna have um, events that play out differently based on that character development, because the first time it happens and the last time it happens are going to be so vastly different because your character has changed. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So it constantly, it's like not only is your character changing, but like you can see it change in real time. You know what I mean? Like you can see him act differently towards other people that he
Mm-hmm.
had already been in that exact same situation before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's how it is. And I mean, just taking Edge of Tomorrow as an example, it ends up being one of the best video game movies that isn't based on a video game, because he's in like a Saving Private Ryan type beach attack, and
Right.
then every time he like gets in there, he gets killed, and then the next time he like takes a step to the left, so he misses the missile, and then he takes two steps, but he gets run over by a truck, and so the third day he takes steps to the left, and he dodges the truck. So it's like this kind of consistent progression, kind of like how you do a video game. And I mean, he changes where he becomes like a badass from a coward at the beginning, but then he also changes personally because of meeting Emily Blunt in the movie.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I think like if you have a chance to, I think I definitely recommend all of these. And not only that, but because of I feel like time loops are both can be exhausting after a while, and I'm guessing they're hard to think up of. Like, right? All of
Right.
these I think are 90 minutes, except for Russian Doll, the TV show on Netflix. But even that, like, it's like six or seven episodes, and they're all 20 minutes. Edge of Tomorrow is like an hour 40. Happy Death Day 1 and 2 are like barely 90 minutes. Source Code's 90 minutes. I think Groundhog's Day, I think, goes right up just above 90 minutes. And this one's 90 minutes. Um, because I think, after a while, it is a novelty, and it is, I don't want to call it a gimmick, but it is something that, if it would have gone 30 more minutes of repeating days, you kind of go like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm in a repeating day, right?
Right, exactly. And this one does just enough to make sure that didn't happen for me. Like I was right on the edge of it a couple times, and it seemed like we got a revelation. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Every time it was like I was like, all right, I'm starting. It was like, and I was like, all right, perfect, cool. You like
Yeah,
caught me with right at the right time.
exactly,
Um,
exactly. And I feel like that happens in a lot of these as well, in all the other
right.
ones that I mentioned. And if you're a listener, if you like, and that's what's great about time loop movies, that it can fit anything. If you want your time loop with some horror elements, Happy Death Day 1 and 2 are there, or more 1 and 2. 2 is more of a comedy. But and if you want action, you got Source Code. If you want like sci-fi, you got Edge of Tomorrow. If you want romantic comedy, you got Groundhog's Day. If you want, I guess Russian Doll is also a little bit of horror, not as much. You got that. If you want
Like a
uh,
regular straight up comedy.
regular straight up comedy, you got
More
Palm Springs. I think it just fits everything. And it's interesting now that I'm seeing these laid out that, they it bends in interesting ways, and you can have big budget ones like Edge of Tomorrow, or just tiny ones like the Happy Death Day, and they both are excellent.
Yeah, definitely. So definitely check it out. It's really good. I think we both like it a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's definitely on the list for everyone to watch.
Yeah, definitely one of the best ones I've seen this year. I mean, I know that I haven't watched many new movies this year, but that's definitely one that's up there.
All right. So we did say that it was not a time travel movie, correct? We think it's a time loop movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So time traveling though, and travel back in time
Hmm.
to when we used to illegally download music.
Yeah, we touched on this last week. I think we mentioned LimeWire or something, or
Yeah, I
Kazaa,
think so.
and I think I was like, all right, I'm gonna mention these next week, or let's save these for next week. But yeah, so I guess like when did you download music or
Yeah, I definitely downloaded music illegally. And
Agent
I
Johnson?
think
Do not use this against us. We don't do it anymore. We used to. We were
now fucking the
kids.
statute of limitations has been lifted. I don't know, man. Fuck you. I'm not. You ain't coming after me for this. Everyone our age, I feel like at some point definitely has been illegally downloading music.
Yeah, or they had like those burn CDs where you would put like permanent marker on them, and like,
Right.
this is what I
Exactly.
had. Yeah.
Also, I don't know why you brought up Agent Johnson because I already said that I illegally downloaded Independence Day a few episodes back.
Right.
So fucking dude, breaking the law. But yeah. So I definitely illegally downloaded music. I think everyone our age did at some point. And I think a lot of people older than us did. And then I think streaming services kind of stopped it. Like it's
Right.
funny because I feel like a lot of I'm not a recording artist of any kind. Like I don't. Well, actually, we record this fucking Van Gogh of a podcast, but I'm not a musician or anything like that. So like, I guess I don't really have the background to speak on this. But I feel like a lot of them talk like streaming services are like the end of the industry. Like they're like, oh, there's no money in it anymore because you don't get as much money off of streams, off of sales.
Right.
But like in my opinion, it seems like the streaming industry has saved it because like now I don't need to illegally download it. I just stream it and at least you get something off of that.
Right. Exactly. Like even if my 10 streams are like a 1% of 1% of 1% of a penny,
Mm-hmm.
it's something, and yeah.
And that on a grand scale, and if it's every time you stream it, you know what I mean? Like I've listened to songs multiple times, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like I feel like it's gotta help compared to just letting people illegally download it because
Yeah.
illegally downloading music's not really a thing anymore. I feel
Yeah.
like, I mean, I'm sure there are people doing it, but like I just don't feel like it's like just use Spotify or whatever streaming service you use. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and if you like do streams on Spotify, it counts toward their like Billboard shit, and if they get
Which
a number
is
one,
actually
it triggers.
horseshit. Nah, fuck that, dude. Fuck that. You're right. Sorry. You go ahead.
I
What
was
is the
gonna say,
trigger?
well, it triggers like benefits. Like when Travis Scott gets a number one, his label has to give him, I'm sure, a certain amount of money in the contract. It's like if you get three number ones, you get this much money, and that's why people try to get those number ones for like Doja Cat or Beyonce or whatever, because
Right.
it's I would think it's like an athlete. It's hit certain incentives.
Right. But I do think it's horseshit that like some of these numbers are way higher than they would be. Like, I guess I don't think it's horseshit if like boy, I'm gonna sound like a fucking just giant asshole old dude. But like the same way people feel about Barry Bonds needing an asterisk next to his name if he ever gets into the hall, like is how I feel about the streaming numbers, which is hilarious because I don't feel that way about Barry Bonds. But like the streaming numbers to me are so much more egregious than the steroids from Barry Bonds. Like
I,
all of a sudden, people are out here like fucking going platinum, and I'm like, I've never even heard of you, bro.
I think it's like I think it's both good and bad. I think it's good because I think people don't listen to the radio anymore. Like I can't tell you the last time I turned on like 106.5 or 107.5, whatever the fuck, you know. I honestly cannot tell you. It's been at least 10 years probably, maybe not that much, maybe since I was in high school, probably since I like legitimately turned on the radio to be like, let me turn on see what's gonna be random. Which
I always listen to it on the way to work just because.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. I don't know. I just always either have a podcast or if I'm wanting music, I'm just listening to it on my phone, and I so I think that's good because I think like a lot of people, they would get a certain. It would shape the rankings a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Where I do think it's bad is, or where it's different is that before, like if you had a number one song from an album, it was the single. It was the one that the label pushed, right? So you would have one song from a different artist in the top 10.
Maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah, maybe 2, like at the same time. Like by some miracle, you were like the Black Eyed Peas, which were like the fucking biggest thing ever in 2009. You had 2, and it's like, what? How does that? Like that's insane.
Right.
But then now, because you have streaming numbers, people go through the same albums over and over and over.
Yeah.
And then you end up with like Drake has like 5 in the top 10, and like that never happened
5 in
because
the top 10
and
his whole album is in the fucking top 25, and I was like, I know these songs aren't that good.
Yeah, because you don't need, the label doesn't have to be like, this is the single. You have to push it. You have to put it everywhere so that it gets picked up on radio, so that people call in for it. You literally just go listen to the whole album, and then what sticks, and what's actually good maybe hits number 1 and stays at number 1. But then everything just appears at like in the top 10.
I do think
flushed
singles
out a week later.
I do think singles still matter though, because like usually the song that does hit number 1 is the single. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That gets put on the radio. I think there's still enough radio play involved
Oh,
that like
yeah,
it pushes
definitely.
the one. But I think to me that's more of an indictment of streaming, in that like you just hit like shuffle play on that album, or you listen to it straight through, and just because you want to listen to the whole album, like I know there's a good number 1 single on a Drake album. You know what I mean? And if you're like, fuck it, I like Drake, you're going to listen to the whole album. Now, like, you would never buy all of those songs individually. You know what I mean? There are, unless you fucking nailed it, which we've already determined that Drake is not as good at making albums as he is at making hits. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many more songs that end up there that, like, have no business being up there.
Yeah.
And it's just because, like, you finished song 2 and it went straight to song 3 and that fucking streaming number hit the, you know what I mean? Like, and it's just like that's nonsense.
But I think it's also like just like that. I think that's also good and bad because you get like random ones that shouldn't be up there, but then also you get ones that are really good that I'm sure the studio didn't want to push. Like, so off of Scorpion, Drake's album from 2018, he had God's Plan, which came out before the album, and that was like the big single, right? And it went number 1 and it was huge. But then the album comes out, and maybe he wants to push, I don't know, like another one, like Emotionless or Elevate or something, Nonstop, or one of those other ones that maybe he's kind of like, this is kind of just middle of the road shit.
Right.
But then people take it and they listen to something like In My Feelings, which I don't think he wanted to push, and then they make that number 1, and then he sort of, push a song that maybe I don't think he wanted to, and it propels it to somewhere where it should have been, but maybe they didn't think it would, or they didn't want it to. So, if Views, for example, were to come out this year, I think the whole thing goes into the top 100, and he has One Dance and Control, and they are popular. But then maybe people hopefully push something like Feel No Ways, which is one of my favorite songs that he's ever done, but that didn't get any kind of play, or people don't really think about it or talk about it or bring it up. So I think it's good and bad. I think it's bad. It's good because it might bring songs that would have been deep cuts, and it makes them not deep cuts. But then, like you said, it's also bad because then you get songs that maybe aren't great in the top 100 that push other good songs down, or maybe that you're kind of like, wait, this is just kind of like mid-level Drake, like you don't need it.
And for me, it's also a history issue. You know what I mean? Those numbers go on the same chart as fucking like Elvis, Michael Jackson. You know what I mean? And those numbers would have been completely different. You know what I mean? Like there's such a lower barrier of entry between like time and just hell, it's not even time because you do other things while you listen to music. There's no barrier of entry. You know what I mean? Like whereas
Mm-hmm.
before it was like, nah, do you actually want to spend this money on this?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. No, yeah. But even then, I think like I think there's only a select few number of artists who, when they release an album, can get all of them in that level. I think basically at this point, I would say like Drake, Ariana Grande, Taylor Swift, Beyonce, maybe if she doesn't do the title shit. But that's about maybe Kendrick. Maybe I mean he hasn't done anything since we've been like fully streaming like
I
this.
feel like Doja Cat when she came out with an album, didn't she?
Yeah, but I think only Say So really got traction like that.
Right, but I think like I still think when she dropped the album just because it was new and nothing else was dropping, I think a bunch of her stuff ended up like kind of high on the charts, and I was like, nobody gives a shit about like this. I'd have
I'm
to
not
check
sure.
it.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean I definitely remember like when what's it called Thank You Next with Ariana came out, and all of those are on there. Drake, same thing.
Yeah,
Taylor Swift, I'm sure when she releases her new album that comes out this month, um, when I'm sure that'll be a bunch in the top 20s.
yeah.
But anyway, but back to the main topic of pirating music.
Oh shit, dude! I completely forgot why we're talking about this. Holy fuck, dude! Yeah, pirating music. I pirated music. You pirated music.
When I was in I think like fifth or sixth grade. And so I'll tell my quick story that I think I mentioned to you last week.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, so my dad. So I was like 10 or 11, and so my dad's friend comes over, and he just like installs a bunch of shit to the on the computer. Like there was like a Harry Potter game that he installed, and this like semi truck driving game. That was kind of generic. I mean, I remember playing it, but it wasn't very good. But he also installed Kazaa. And so at that point, when I was that age, I didn't think about licensing and whatever. I just thought he gave us this thing, and it has music on it. So like you don't think much of it. You just like, okay, free music. It's like,
Right.
I don't know.
It's the victimless crime in your head.
Yeah. You wouldn't download a car, but anyway, and so me and my neighbor were just downloading music, and he has it too. I'm like, oh, you have the software too, but he doesn't mention that it's illegal. I'm just like, or that she shouldn't do it, and I was like, yeah, oh, cool, he does it too, cool.
And looking back, hindsight, the reason he doesn't mention it's illegal is because it's so obviously illegal.
But I was like, exactly.
I
He's
get
like,
it.
of
Like,
course.
yeah.
Duh. Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is it's coming up in the story, but and so one night I'm like going to bed, and I think they had like a late night. It was like Univision used to have like a late night news version of their 6 o'clock news, and they had a little bit more editorials, and so they had an editorial about these people who got caught illegally downloading music, and they got 5 years in jail and $500,000 fine, and it could be you if you get caught. I did not sleep that night. I was terrified. I was like, oh my god, the FBI is gonna come in barging right now. It's gonna be like that goddamn the meme where he, like, ladies and gentlemen, we got him, and those FBI guys come through the roof and they break the toilet top and they're breaking vases, and dude, I couldn't sleep. And so I'm like, oh my god. And so the next day I go to my friend's house and I'm like, dude, did you know this was illegal, man? We're gonna go to jail. And he's like, yeah, I knew. Like, what are you talking about? But I missed a part. Before I went over, I deleted Kazaa from my computer. I was like, I gotta delete all evidence of this crime. I didn't delete the song.
Yeah, I was about
the
to say,
clearest evidence.
I was about to say, did you delete the songs? Because
no, and I had my
CDs.
I had my CDs, like, and I was like, if this happens, I'm gonna run like fucking like Karen from Goodfellas and run into the bathroom and just flush him down the toilet.
What kills me is that I can imagine the scenario where they're like looking at your computer for evidence, right? And there's no there's music files, and they're like, "Are these illegal?" And you're like, "No," and you're like, "Then why does it have like 1,000 dashes and underscores?"
And underscores. Do you remember Superbad? Have you seen Superbad?
Yeah.
Do you remember in the scene where they go to the liquor store, and Michael Cera drops a bunch of beers, and the clerk comes up and he goes, "Sir, did you drop these beers?" And Michael Cera is like, "No, but whoever did should probably pick them up." They're like spraying everywhere. And the guy goes, oh, fuck my life. That's how I imagine it. Like the FBI guy comes, "Sir, did you download these songs?" "No." "Sir, please."
So you go to your friend's, your neighbor's house, like,
and he's just like, yeah, dude, yeah, like, of course, like, I know that. I knew what it was when I signed up. Like, why? And so I was like, oh, okay, well, now I kind of wish I could get Kazaa back. Like, and so
you were over
from
here,
then
like,
on,
fearing
I just asked,
for your family's life.
I was still like, oh my god, they're gonna send us to jail. Like, so much money. We don't have that kind of money. I'm sorry, Eminem. I'm sorry.
Eminem, please don't press charges on my family.
Please. And so from then on, I asked him to get me songs, and he would get songs from me.
And you know, the whole time he was getting the songs for, he's like, this dumb motherfucker should have just.
Yeah, he probably was. He was like, oh my god, stupid ass.
Also, it's not like, yeah, you didn't know. I totally get that, but also, it's not like Kazaa was some private, like, I'm pretty sure you could just go on Google, like, Kazaa and just download. Like,
but dude, that's what I'm saying. Like, now, yes, but like back then, I had no idea. There was no Reddit. There was no fucking, like, YouTube to show you. Like, you just kind of
but it's just hilarious. Like, that's what, just from the other guy's perspective, like, he's like, why is this kid just not fucking downloading those out? Like,
yeah.
Why is this kid bothering the fuck out of me?
And another thing that comes with Kazaa and LimeWire, and I think there was like other softwares. I just used that Kazaa that one, like that stretch of time.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just because from then on LimeWire it was like, oh, you gotta get it from LimeWire, and it's like, well, it's got a bunch of fucking viruses. Or what was the other one that you said? Or Napster. I was like, well, I don't want to use that. That's got viruses. So I never downloaded one.
Before it was LimeWire, it was FrostWire. Like it was FrostWire, and then they changed the name, I think.
There was like a dozen other ones. Yeah, the Pirate Ship, but I think the Pirate Bay was like later on.
Yeah, that's a whole different thing. That's like not even the same process. I mean, it's basically the same, but it's technically different, I think.
Yeah, so I had Kazaa for those few months, and I was terrified. But then also what I would download, with my use of Kazaa those months, was something that only happened in pre-YouTube era. Because before YouTube, I don't know if you kids remember, but before 2006, if you wanted to see a video online, you had to like either go to the website and download like QuickTime Player or Real-Time Player, whatever the fuck, or you had to like own the video. Like you couldn't. Right. There's no place where you can watch videos. That's why YouTube was like it breaks everybody's mind.
Right.
But I would look up these montages of Dragon Ball Z scenes set to Linkin Park songs. And you're just watching, and they're playing like In the End, and it's like Goku like in the rain, and it's like a music video set to Linkin Park songs.
Yeah, what kills me the most, and I didn't think of this when you told me this story before. Real quick, this story had me dying we ended the last recording, and you told me this story because you were telling me that you wanted to talk about it, and it killed me. Dude, it had me just like I said at the fucking barbecue restaurant in Raleigh. I was crying, laughing, couldn't breathe, dizzy about that fucking story, dude. And like there was a solid 2 minutes where both of us were just laughing and couldn't say anything, and that's when you were like, it's probably a good thing we went ahead and covered this in the fucking,
because we would have just been like silence or just us laughing for like 2 minutes.
But what I was gonna say is that when you told me this story, I didn't think about it, but this time I'm thinking about it. It's like, what if you are, God, what's his name? I can't remember the dude that makes Dragon Ball. Like, I can't remember his name. Like, the head designer.
I don't either.
But, like, you're a Japanese dude. You've been, like, creating this anime. You have, like, a very specific, like, artistic direction. You know what I mean? You're that kind of dude. And then you just go online, and it's just a million fucking Linkin Park videos over your fucking stuff. And you're like, oh, you fucking butchered my art.
Seriously, if you guys haven't seen them, they're fucking like they're like on YouTube now. Like somebody moved them to YouTube,
which is so hilarious that someone took that effort. Someone was like, I will not let this be lost. This is an important part of history. Bro, the same way people act about Confederate statues is the way that dude was acting about fucking Linkin Park DBC videos. He was like, how will we ever remember our history if we don't have these?
There's a great parody article on this website called Hard Drive that I sent to you last week, yeah. And it's the article title, or the headline reads, Vegeta AMV Linkin Park - crawling selected for preservation by Library of Congress.
I forgot about that.
It's like, and then the article reads, the Library of Congress announced today that the influential anime music video Vegeta AMV Linkin Park - crawling will be inducted into the National Film Registry. And like the P in Park is like lowercase and crawling is all caps. Quote, like jazz and modern dance, the anime music video is a uniquely American art form.
That's so great. That's what I was just talking about. Oh, dude, he had to have been so mad. Because those are so popular, dude. Like, he had to have just been like, these motherfuckers are ruining my shit. Oh, my God.
But I still love Linkin Park. I still listen to them all the time. But like I mentioned last week, it's just like the first album or the first two albums and maybe a little bit of the third. But yeah,
I'm gonna go through and try and make the most ridiculous. Like, at some point, I'm gonna upload just like a just ridiculous mashup that makes no sense. Like, I'm gonna just try and make one that's just absolute nonsense, and then gonna try and make it work.
The best ones are the ones that link up the lyrics to what's going on. Like,
right.
Be like, I'm walking through the rain. It's like Vegeta walking through
right.
the rain.
Woo. Boy, that is just fucking. That's a piece of Americana right there.
Just fear and loathing in Linkin Park.
Oh my God. Yeah, my funny illegally downloading stuff story is that so like your general, whenever you download something and you didn't get what you downloaded, you know, because it's a fucking crapshoot. It was like 9 times out of 10, it was like either, for some reason I feel like it was either Britney Spears Toxic or like the Bill Clinton, like, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Like, those were like 9 times out of 10, 99% of the time, if you didn't get the thing you were looking for, you got like a clip of that. But one time, my dad was downloading something for me, and then we went to play it, and the most ridiculous voice all of a sudden was like, "Hi, my name is Monkey, and I'm having a toilet attack." And my dad immediately stopped it, and we were like, "What the fuck was that?" It's like, it's the most like random shit. And if anyone does the research to tell me what that was supposed to be, I'll be so happy. But like, I just remember he immediately was like, "What is that?"
Oh my gosh, yeah, you got the fucking like Funk Master Flex Night, funk, you know, like come in, you're like, oh my god.
Yeah, there were always a million explosions in whatever song. Like,
you know who you fucked with.
Should be like a fucking Mary J. Blige song. It'd be like DJ
Productions. You know who the fuck it is. Or like, or you would get the, damn son, where'd you find this?
Oh yeah. Oh, I forgot all about that one.
Oh, what was one? There was one that my friend Travis and I always cracked up at. I think he was like, DJ Escrow fucking up your whole life. And I was like, dude, I'm just trying to listen to a song.
Oh, fuck, dude. All right.
Where'd you find this? Damn, son, where'd you find this?
What'd you Google to find that?
Just damn, son, where'd you find this on YouTube?
Real trap shit. Alex, we make it look easy. Walk with your boys. Damn, son, where'd you find this?
I just got so many flashbacks to those.
Oh, fuck, dude.
And the saddest thing is that so I listen to music on Spotify, and I also have songs like on my iTunes that I guess are just remnants from old mixtapes that I either got from friends or that I just had from forever ago, right?
Right.
And so you'll have like 2 or 3 songs from like 2004, and like the song will end, and you'll get one of those and be like, holy shit, what the hell is this fossil? But yeah. It was, yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like, if you tell, like, somebody, like, a teenager now, like, hey, like now you have the whole world of music at your fingertips. You can literally look up any song ever. You can, if you want to listen to Britney Spears, Toxic, you can play that. If you want to listen to Elvis, if you want to listen to whatever, it's all right there. Like literally, all you have to do is just Google. Even if it's not on Spotify, it's on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
But just like what 15 years ago, dude, it was. I mean, I guess it's the exact same trajectory that porn has had, where it's like at your fingertips, but before you had to scavenge for it.
Right.
It's the exact same thing. It's like, but now, or back then, if you're like, God, I want to let that new Linkin Park, I either have to fucking buy it, or if you wanted to get it some other way, you had to like risk fucking plunging your family computer into like
losing your fucking social and like 8 credit
yeah,
cards.
everything. Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, and it was totally worth it.
Mm-hmm.
I never regretted downloading anything. I mean, you did because you thought
I thought I was gonna get fucking sent to the gulag, dude. I thought I was gonna be Gitmo inmate 001.
They're gonna have fucking. You said you're in middle school, so what? You're like 10 years old.
Oh, dude, I think it was like at the latest 6th grade, at the earliest 4th.
Okay, so you're like
it's
between 8 and 10 years old.
Yeah,
They're gonna be fucking. I was just about to say they're gonna fucking waterboard you.
It's me and Khalik Sheikh Mohammed. Like.
And they're like, "Where did you find that anime DPC video?" The fucking Linkin Park
and then they
video.
literally were gonna tell me, "Damn son, where'd you find this?"
Damn son, yeah, it was gonna be playing on the screen in front of you, like whenever you like would do something fucked up in school and you go into the principal office and you know that's why you're in there because there's like some piece of evidence, like.
Mm-hmm.
You were gonna walk into this FBI interrogation room and the fucking DVC Linkin Park video is gonna be playing, and fucking Agent Johnson like turns on the lamp and leans in. He's like, "Damn son, where'd you find this?" Oh, fuck.
Too funny. But
all right.
Speaking to one relic. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna go ahead. No, I was just gonna try and come up with a terrible transition. So maybe
I was gonna say, like, speaking of one thing from the 2010s or the 2000s, we had the 10th anniversary of Inception this month.
Oh yeah.
It's by my accounts, it's like a top 3 Nolan.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's so good, and it's it's so interesting and unique. But what are your thoughts about it? Watching it then, have you seen it recently? Have you, is it something you think about often? Like, do you like it as much as something like The Matrix? Or, like, what do you think about Inception?
I think Inception is... It was... I really liked it. And I'm like, as always, I'm terrible about looking into movies. I don't really rewatch much. I have rewatched this one a few times. But I haven't watched it recently, which is something I need to go back and do. And, like, every once in a while, I think of, like... I'm like, Tom Hardy was in that fucking movie. Like,
right? Yeah.
Like he's like
that was the first time I'd ever seen him.
Right. I think it was for me too. It's like now I'm like Tom Hardy was in that movie and he's like such a small role. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think it must have been a big deal. But it was super good. All the effects were great. And like even not looking into it on like any sort of deeper level, like the concept was good. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like, I'm just an asshole, but like I generally like South Park, but like sometimes they just like rag on shit that I'm just like I don't get it. Like I didn't get the Inception joke where like they act like it's just some super convoluted thing. It's like not actually that convoluted. Like all of it's pretty straightforward. Like there are layers, but like
and every layer looks very distinctly different.
Yeah, and I get the whole like it's not like there's some confusing plot that like is hard to track. Like exactly what they're trying to do the whole time.
Right. And I mean the reason that is because literally 80% of the dialogue is just exposition. It's just explaining something. It's Ellen Page going, wait, what? Or wait, who? And then Leo DiCaprio just blurting out rules and stuff. So like I feel the exact same way. Like I never got that either. It's kind of like the thing I was talking about earlier where Avatar gets a bad rap and people are like, oh, can you name any characters of it? Huh? And I'm like, well, no, but like, you people can't name most characters from most big blockbusters or even a movie they've seen a year ago, right?
Right.
So
As we famously like only remember Jeff Goldblum's name because we were impersonating another.
oh yeah, the
character.
guy exactly.
David.
Like
We're
right, like
oh, his
nobody.
name was David.
David. Like right, nobody in Will Smith in Independence Day is Will Smith. Like that's just the way it is
Yep.
sometimes, right? And I feel the same way about this, where it's like Inception wasn't that complicated. Like each level was different. One was raining, one was a hotel, one was snow, and then one was like a fucking desert cityscape, right? But no, I agree, and I'm the same. I've seen it. I saw it a bunch of times when it first came out. I have the DVD, and I think it's been at least 4 or 5 years since I've seen it. I probably should rewatch it just to see how it would hold up. But just from off of memory, I would say it's like this, The Prestige, and probably The Dark Knight are my top 3 Nolans. I haven't seen. There's one I haven't seen. Which one haven't? There's one that I was like, oh, I haven't seen that Nolan movie. I can't remember.
I'm looking
which
at this
one now.
list, and maybe I'm stupid. I didn't know he was in Batman vs Superman. That was
Nolan.
his movie.
Oh, no, he produced it. He was like,
Produced it, okay.
it's like in name only. It's basically like tagging his name. He gets some money, and then they go, oh look, see, Nolan's attached to it. It's prestige.
Right.
But yeah. I listened to another podcast where they talked about Inception, and they did a better job of it than I will. But one thing that one of them noticed that I hadn't before, Patrick H. Willems, he's on YouTube and on Twitter, but he mentioned how, after Avatar, the lesson Hollywood learned incorrectly about Avatar was 3D. They were like 3D at everything, right? They didn't think about the action or the story or the special effects. They
Right.
were just 3D on everything. Like that's where we get our money.
I remember distinctly so here's the deal. I've still to this day have never seen Avatar. I didn't watch it in theaters. Haven't had any urge to watch it again. I don't know why. I think for me, like you said, like Hollywood learned 3D was a thing because Avatar was done. So from what I understand, the 3D was done so well, right? But like
Yes.
3D to me was always 100% just a gimmick. Like I was like, there's no way this can last. Like this is not a sustainable thing you're going for, and especially because like you said, they were just like tacking it on. I feel like
Right.
the only movies I remember distinctly hearing that like 3D was such a huge advantage was like this and Avatar, and then like I think Alice in Wonderland
Yeah,
was a
Wonderland
really
was
big
good.
one.
Prometheus was.
I
Good.
never saw that.
That one was like good but like it was. The reason it got watered down is because, like you said, people just tacked it on. Like they
Right.
didn't give any thought about, like what would go into it. And the best 3D movies were the ones that were filmed in 3D. Life of Pi, that's another one, where it's filmed in 3D. So the director goes, all right, I need something with like a lot of space behind it so that it gives that depth feel, right?
Right.
But if a dude is just doing like a shaky cam movie, like a fucking Jason Bourne movie, and they add 3D to that,
Just like every once in a while, a punch will just like come through the screen, like,
just like, oh, like, oh
whoa,
shit, and that's
whoa.
like that gimmicky shit that I didn't like. Like Avatar was great because it's like you get this awesome depth, and like you see the world. Same thing with Life of Pi. Same thing with Prometheus. You get like this deep, alien planet. But when it was tacked on shitty things, it gets diluted, and then people go, well, that's not worth it. But it's worth it sometimes.
Right.
If the
And that I guess
people
that was my
behind it
thing
give a shit.
too, is that like I guess when I said like I never thought it would work is because specifically like it would never become a widespread thing. Like I think you could still make a 3D movie now, and like if it's specifically done right and done well and for a purpose. Like I think Life of Pi, boy, this is gonna sound stupid. I think Life of Pi, Prometheus, and Avatar, despite having never seen any of those 3 movies, like clearly haven't, to me, like just knowing what I know about them, that like the sense of grandeur or space or like all of that is important to those movies. And so
Yes.
like that's why 3D works for those. But like you said, a shaky cam movie, like you know what I mean, like this doesn't do anything for, even if it's done well, like you're not achieving any real greater sense of anything by having that.
Exactly.
Whereas
Gravity's another one. Oh my god, I just remembered Gravity. That one's another one. But I think most of these, they're CGI mostly, and so that helps. You can make things deeper. You can
Right.
make things a certain thing. But where I was going with the 3D thing is that he says, they learned that incorrectly, right? But they didn't. This was a huge hit, right, when it came out in 2010, but nothing came of it. Like nobody, there's nothing that came from that movie that's in other movies after that, right?
Like Inception, you mean?
There's no heist, there's no original sci-fi. I'm pretty sure the next original sci-fi was Nolan's Interstellar 4 years after Inception.
Right.
There's no big budget sci-fi. There's no big budget heist movies. There's no big budget unique original stories. It's just weird how he says he's like Hollywood was like, oh, that was a big hit, and it made a shit ton of money, and it's a completely original story. That's weird. Oh well, who knows?
Right. And I wonder if that's just I wonder if that's a natural evolution of kind of where we're at, or sorry, the beginning of the evolution of where we're at now, where it's studios between established universes and long running franchises, it's and that this happens in games also, which is that I think it's just easy to be well, people are invested in this thing, so as long as we keep investing in it, they're going to feel the need to participate. The superhero movies need to be an established franchise, I think, from a studio's perspective, because as long as this is a whole universe, anything we put out will at least get watched. The money will be spent on it, we will make revenue. Whether or not it's critically acclaimed is great or just average, people will come watch it as long as it's not actively dog shit.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think this was not that. And realistically, other than the Dark Knight movies, the Batman movies, I'm looking at his catalog and he doesn't have anything else that's tied together. It's all one-off. He had
original.
Yeah,
they're all original one-offs. I think literally all of them. He's either. I'm trying to go back in time, right? So I'm going to go Dunkirk, that's original. He came up with, he wrote that. Interstellar, that's original. He wrote that. The Dark Knight Rises, yeah. Inception, The Dark Knight, based on the comic book. The Prestige, he wrote that. He came up with that. Batman Begins, based on The Thing. I think, and then he has, Insomnia before that? And I think that's based on another movie.
Maybe.
And then, of course, Memento.
Yeah. So,
going
to our top 3 Nolan movies, I think my top 3, looking at this list and obviously having not seen some of these, I think my top 3 is still The Prestige, in no particular order. The Prestige, Memento, and Inception.
Same.
I think Memento cracks it for me. Memento's one of my favorites just because it's much like Inception was such an original thing. Memento, it's weird because I don't feel like the concept of altering the storyline is new to Memento, but I feel or not storyline, but giving it to you in a not straight line. You know what I mean? I think it felt unique for Memento specifically because the main character wasn't in on it. It wasn't just you saw the end and then it brought you to the beginning. It was you saw you're the protagonist trying to figure it out the whole time also.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. That. I kind of semi forgot about that one, and I don't know if it hits my top 3. I still like Inception better, and of course The Dark Knight and The Prestige. Although I do really like Interstellar, and Dunkirk was great, but I have to rewatch both of those.
Right. This is a testament to Christopher Nolan.
Right. And then another interesting thing that if we have 2 more minutes or a little bit more that we can talk about, or that I want to sort of bring up, is in the video by that guy Patrick Willems, he talks about how if you look at his movies, they're not flashy, right? They're not like Marvel movies. It's whiz and bang, and even James Cameron, who he did Titanic and Aliens and Avatar. He's got a big eye for big action, and Spielberg, he does these long takes, and Scorsese, he does pans and zooms and all this extra shit. But if you watch Nolan movies, he said he counts them. He's they don't have that many pans or changes. It's all pretty much just close up, a bunch of story. And even something like The Dark Knight, the action isn't very good other than the car stuff.
Right.
And he thinks that he's it's kind of fascinating that he sort of built this reputation for himself as the premier blockbuster filmmaker guy, when in terms of movies he's kind of sort of very basic, very simple, very just kind of put the camera down, do what you got to do, get it done.
Would a good analogy be that Christopher Nolan is the Tim Duncan of filmmaking?
Yes, yep, exactly, yeah. Like he's the big fundamental. And I actually had never realized that until I watched that video. Because you go, oh, Nolan's movies, they're all great, and you sort of just kind of go, the story's great, it looks great, it's got all the whiz bang and it's got those awesome hallway action scenes that are upside down and stuff. But then if you watch that scene, the camera's on one end and it just spins and then you see them, but it just kind of moves where they move.
Right.
And then all the hand-to-hand stuff is just kind of like, it's borderline shaky cam stuff. There's not a lot of unique long takes or, big crane shots or anything. It's just basically just the very, like, what you see is what you get type thing.
Right. Yeah, it is weird. Like you said, he just kind of like nails, I think, the basics so well that I never even really noticed that his stuff wasn't like, like super grand level filmmaking. Like there's no like real big. This is the hallmark of a Christopher Nolan movie is when you see this type of scene. You know what I mean?
Right.
But like you still
yeah,
know
like,
a Christopher Nolan movie when you see it, though. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. That's what he says. He's like, you just know it when you see it. Like, what do you expect? He's like a cool palette, maybe like like a diverse story, a lot of characters, but it's like there's not much more to it.
Right. One thing that killed me though is that in the video you sent me, he mentions that like Inception can be viewed as a whole like meta analysis of like actual filmmaking.
Mm-hmm.
And,
oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I won't go too much into that because it would take too much time. But like that's a cool video. So if anybody has the chance to like go watch that, that's a cool one. And yeah, I mean like Christopher Nolan just fucking nails it every time. It seems like. I can't think of a movie he's done where I was like, this is bad. I guess like The Dark Knight Rises.
Dark Knight Rises, yeah. The Dark Knight Rises.
Even that wasn't like you said when we were talking about The Last of Us Part 2. Is that it's not even like bad. It just like kind of whiffs a lot. You know what I mean? Like it's still fun to watch. I enjoyed it the first time I watched it. You know what I mean? Like
oh, dude, I watched it twice. Like in the first weekend, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. Or I wasn't like, this is amazing. I was like, this is a lot. Like it's not the worst movie. I would say this. It's not his worst movie. It's his most movie. There is so much movie
like Dickie
in there.
Minaj.
It is.
You're doing a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Just doing like so much, and some of it is amazing. Like I was tweeting yesterday about how the sequence where Bane kicks the shit out of Batman. Like that sequence is amazing. Like every single line that Bane says in that is like everybody knows it. Like the shadows betray you, and you think darkness is your ally. And victory has defeated you.
You really adopted the darkness. I was born in it.
Yeah, and then I will break you, and then
it's great.
Yeah.
The dialogue is great. You know what I mean? Like those lines are good, and the filming of it's great. But then the very next thing that happens is like Batman who had his back broken does some push-ups and gets his way out. Like
climbs his way out, and like there's so much. Dude, like there's so much stuff in there that I think about all the time. Like the fight, the scene in the football stadium. Like that's sort of like the big the Hines Ward kickoff return. What else? The fucking opening scene with the plane where they hijack the plane, right?
Right.
Like there's so much stuff in there that's so like just big. And I was telling my girlfriend Sydney about the prison, the Hope prison,
right?
Where he says like this prison is the worst place on earth because you can escape. All you gotta do is climb out. Like the world is right there,
right?
And I think about that all the time in terms of like when somebody gives you hope, and then, like as a metaphor. Like I always tell her, I was like, it's like the 2016 national championship with Carolina. Like they were down by 10 with 2 minutes to go, and I was like, okay, we lost this game. That's fine. I'll take it. We made it here.
Yeah.
Down
Sucks,
10, 2 minutes to go.
It is what it is.
It sucks, but it is what it is. And then what do? They come back to tie it with 3 seconds to go. And so you're like, oh my god,
is that the one with the
Marcus
Page shot, right?
No, the Marcus Page hits that shot. You're like, oh my god, Hope is alive. There's a giant hole in my prison. I can climb out. And then Chris Jenkins comes down and hits the buzzer beater game-winning 3, and it's like, oh wait, I have to climb out of this prison that nobody can climb out of. And I tell her that, I'm like, that's the exact same thing. It's like you get hope, and just having hope and not having it taken away is worse than not having it at all.
Right. And so like it's stuff. There's like so much cool stuff in it, but there's so much nonsense.
Yeah, and I mean that bitch is 2 hours and 45 minutes long.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god.
So I think that's gonna be the episode. But real quick, since we were talking about hope, I would
wait. Hold on.
Go ahead.
Can I hit just one more thing? Yeah. Have we talked about the press conference scene from The Dark Knight? Have we ever mentioned that in an episode before?
I don't think so. I don't remember that scene.
Do you remember that? It's the one where Harvey Dent says he's Batman.
Okay.
And then, dude, if you watch that scene, dude, the extras in that scene are horrendously, like, what can I say? They're terrible. Like, they take you right out of the movie. Like, I'll send you the scene afterward, but like there's like a guy, he's like, Harvey Dent's like, we're not gonna let Batman pay for our crimes. And then a guy goes, things are worse than ever down here. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And then he goes, but we've let Batman take it for so long, the Joker's we're just giving in. And then a cop goes, no more dead cops.
Yeah.
And then there's like the lady staring off into the distance, like, dude, I'll send you the scene after this, rewatch it, knowing that they're all extras and being like, what the hell are they doing? What's Nolan doing? He's lost control of his set.
What also kills me is that, like, for some reason it never, and like no one I know remembers this, right?
Mhm.
But like no one I know remembers this when it happened. But like I saw it on Twitter, and for some reason now it's like everyone's like, "How did we not notice this?" Which is the scene where the Joker takes off his nurse mask and Harvey Dent's like, like
He's like, oh.
because he's wearing the fucking makeup, so like his whole eyes and hair are all fucked up, and then he just takes down the face mask, and Harvey Dent's like, "Oh my god, it's the Joker."
Oh my god, he's been yeah, dude. Yeah, there's like some things in that movie that are like, what the hell? Like,
And go ahead.
no, you go ahead. I'm looking.
I think an example of that is I had a friend telling me about, like, he was like, there's a lot of problems with The Dark Knight, like a lot of the film, like, it relies on characters acting irrationally, like and like having knowledge they shouldn't have for the plot to move forward the way it does. But like the movie goes at such a pace that you never really get to stop and dwell on it. So like it never really pops in your head. And I wonder if like that movie's like operating at such breakneck speeds at that point that's why that never got noticed. You know what I mean? Like the movie is overall good and it is operating at such a like fast pace. Like, and you get such great performances from fucking Heath Ledger and everybody, and so like you just don't really notice it. But then like you go back and some of it, you're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, what the fuck are these dialogue scenes? We're gonna be like turkeys on Thanksgiving down there, and it's like, what the hell is this corny ass dialogue?
The best you could come up with.
Right.
All right. So did you find what you were gonna show me?
No.
Okay.
No. I'll look at it later. But yeah, I'll send it to you, dude. But yeah, The Dark Knight, great. And then, but if you watch it now, like, keep an eye out for like just funky lines.
Yeah.
That you're like, wait, what? But and I'll go into on another day. I'll go into why I hate that the tag like gritty gets put on those movies, because they're realistic and they are darker than other ones, but they get this fucking like death tag when like they're gritty and they're dark and they're like, "Don't, they're not your father, they're not your fucking father."
Batman wouldn't get raped in one of those movies.
Exactly. He's not gonna get raped in prison like Zack Snyder said. But they're funny and they're light and there's good like I'll go into it another day. But anyway, Nolan's great.
Yeah,
Batman's great.
So and also
watch Inception.
Yeah, watch Inception. 10-year anniversary. That's where we're originally going with this, and it turned into a Christopher Nolan thing. But the only other thing I wanted to touch on was the worst prison is hope, right? Because you can see it.
Yeah.
And so far, I have claimed my first victim in 2K and given him no hope. Shout out to Ryan, dusted him by 22, and then. He had a little bit of hope because the very first match I immediately went down 10 points and I came back and fucking crushed him with the Knicks of all teams.
That's it. That's the prison. The prison with the hole is like, 10-point lead, and then like it would have been better for him mentally if it would have just started out the gate 20 points down.
Yeah, and that's basically what happened the second game when he chose the Warriors and I chose the Mavs. That got so out of hand so fast. Crushed him, dude. Yeah. No hope. I would like more victims, please.
Another example right off the top of my head is, so just watching Carolina and Duke play over the years, there was one game where Duke came out and they were like on fire, and they started off like 15-2, and the rest of the game was around that lead. But then by halftime you're like, okay, like, it is what it is, and then they never made a run, and then the game just kind of ended. But you live with that. But then you get games like the one that happened this past season where they're up by 10 with 2 minutes to go, and they blow the lead to a buzzer beater, send it to overtime. And then in overtime, they're up by 6 or 7, and they blow it again to a buzzer beater. And then you just want to fucking just be like, what? Why the fuck am I doing this? It's like it's like Michael Cera and Superbad. He's like, what the fuck do I care? Like, who gives a fuck, man? Like, whatever.
Yeah,
hope is the worst.
You know what a good version where like having no hope is okay is when we were all at your apartment watching the Carolina game. I think this past year, right? We're like,
yes,
you guys were just terrible. It was just hilarious. Everyone was like, oh, dude, look at him, look at fucking Playtech with the ball, great.
Great. Oh my god, he's about to get packed. But anyway.
So yeah, I will claim more victims upon request, and I will unabashedly talk the most shit because that's how. And if you're the type of person that will get upset, please still invite me because I will not stop talking shit. It won't matter. So that's the episode today. If you want to catch me, you can catch me at T Moneybags on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to catch the podcast, you can catch the podcast at Diff Animals Pod on Twitter and Instagram. And you can catch, or you can email us, interact with us on any of those places, but also at differentanimalspodcast@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm. And you can find me on Instagram at evercastro92.
All right. Well, stay safe, stay entertained as always, and we'll catch you guys next week every Thursday at noon.
See you guys.
Peace.
Take it easy.
Oh. Okay. So, just in honor of Kanye's presidential rally, his campaign rally, where my man broke into tears and said his wife was trying to get him locked up, like the movie Get Out. And I also read that he said that everyone knows the movie Get Out is based on his life, which is hilarious to me. My Kanye lyric is going to be, "They gonna kill me, I swear they better be lying. I never live in fear, I'm too out of my mind." And truer words have never been spoken than that man is too
prophetic.
Out of his mind.
All right, hold on.